Since I was very young in college, I've been following Jew haters in the Western media, and it's been so entertaining. And now Piers Morgan is lining them up for me. And so I'm going to watch them and respond as an Israeli Jew to my favorite Jew haters and anti-Semites. So let's take a look at the Islamic extremist doctor. This is going to be fun. Let's go.
Welcome back to Uncensored. My next guest has been a GP with the NHS for 25 years, working as a mentor for recently qualified doctors at his surgery in Harrow, northwest London. Dr. Wahid Azif Shader has another less wholesome identity as leader of an Islamic...
Did he just said he probably wants to be a shaheed, a martyr? Okay, let's go.
Extremist group, which was recently caught on camera calling for jihad at an anti-Israel demonstration.
Jihad.
What is the solution to liberate people in the concentration camp called Palestine?
Jihad!
What is the solution?
The concentration camps of Palestine. You know, this claim is so amazing to me. Concentration camps, genocide. You know, the term genocide was invented after the Holocaust, a new term to describe the murder of 6 million Jews. How is it that in Gaza, in 1990, the population was 645,000 people, and now in 2023, almost 2024, there's 2.1 million people? It's a reverse genocide. It's amazing to me. You know, halavai, if only the Jews in Europe had such a genocide like the Palestinians are experiencing. It blows my mind. And this thing about concentration camp, the only camps that you have in Gaza are terrorist camps where they teach children to murder Jews.
Dr. Shader, also known as Abdul Wahid, joins me now. Well, welcome to you. Thank you for coming in today.
Abdul Wahid.
You've come from your work as an NHS GP.
Yeah. Seems
Let
like
me
a
first
nice
just
guy.
ask you
I have to
your
say.
reaction to the clip we just played. These are members of your organisation, and they're allowed chants of jihad on the streets of London. Do you think that's acceptable?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. That demonstration was a very
Bismillah.
carefully planned demonstration.
In the name
where
of
the placards,
Allah.
the banners, the speeches from the platform were calling for a military intervention of official armies of Muslim countries to rescue the people of Gaza with a situation
Official
of a civil
armies of the people of the Muslim countries to rescue the people of Gaza. You know how you rescue the people of Gaza? You open the border to Egypt and you allow them to come out and you take them into your homes and give them a place to live and give them citizenship and give them an education and give them a life. What are you talking about? Calling for the Muslim armies of the world to come attack the Jews. Even if you did, you're going to lose like every time.
civilian population of 2 million who are being massacred and slaughtered. Anywhere else in the world, you would find it a completely straightforward thing for people calling for military intervention.
But they weren't chanting, we want military intervention. They were chanting jihad.
Oh, I have to say, I love when Piers asks them a yes or no question. He asks his guests yes or no questions. I don't know. I'm going to review a few of these interviews. I don't remember anybody saying yes or no. Everything has to be justified. Doctor, do you support jihad? Yes or no? Oh, well, let's talk about it.
Somebody there, unscripted.
Well, quite a few people there.
Actually, no. It's about 2 people.
So you would condemn that?
Of course, I wouldn't condemn that.
You wouldn't?
You would condemn that. Of course I wouldn't condemn that. I want to kill all the Jews in Israel. Actually, all the Jews in the world. So why would I condemn calling to kill all the Jews in Israel?
No, because jihad in that context is as they understood it and they were chanting, is for the official armies of Muslim countries to enter and intervene. We're in a situation now, Piers, where 1% of the population of Gaza has been killed.
1% of the population of Gaza. Okay, so we had 2.1 million people at the start of this war. 1% means 21,000 people. How he knows that, I don't know. It's amazing because we had approximately 1,200 people that were murdered on October 7th, and we still don't know the exact number. And we still don't know exactly who's been kidnapped and who's been murdered, but miraculously in Gaza, in a war zone, somehow they counted 21,000 people. There's certain 21,000 people have died. How in the world do you know that if we haven't figured out if 1,200 have died? First it was 1,500, now it's 1,200. But in Gaza, wow, there must be some like special food or pill that people in Gaza or Muslims take that enables them to magically count dead bodies so quickly.
In the space of 2 months, 1% of the children of Gaza have been killed. Anywhere else in the world, you yourself called for military intervention.
1% of the children of Gaza have been killed. How do you know that? How does he know these things? From where? What numbers? Who's telling you this? He's just making it up.
Intervention in Ukraine by NATO with probably less legal and moral cause than there is in Gaza. When we stand...
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Because
So you think that when Vladimir Putin illegally invaded Ukraine, the moral right of Ukrainians to respond is somehow equivalent to the moral right of people in Palestine after October the 7th to do the same. Is that what you're saying?
of Gaza have nobody helping them.
Well, they do. They have Hamas. They have a terrible...
have nobody helping
hang on,
them.
hang on.
They have nobody helping them. You know what amazes me? Israel was helping them. We were giving them food. We were giving them electricity. We were giving them water. We were helping them to build hospitals. We were helping them to build a life. And what did they do with it? They built tunnels. They came across the border and they murdered us. I don't know what else to say. What am I supposed to say? You don't need any help in Gaza. We helped you. You took the help and you used it to murder us.
Hang on. They have a terrorist organization called Hamas.
They have nobody helping
They've
them.
got 30,000 terrorists
They have.
who committed on October the 7th
They
an
have
act of
lined up
unspeakable
against them.
terrorism.
They have lined up against them the murderous Israeli Defense Force. They have lined up against them the United States.
Listen, as I've made clear, Doctor, I think a lot of the response from Israel, particularly right now, I would deem to be testing everyone's sense of what is proportionate, right?
There's his question. Proportionate. What is a proportionate response to the events of October 7th? That's a question that he's asked many of his guests. What's a proportionate response? Well, you tell me, what's a proportionate response to the murder of one person, 2 people, 3 people, 300 people, 500 people, 1,000 people, or more? What is an appropriate response is the answer. Not what's a proportionate response. There is no proportionate response. And the appropriate response to what happened on October 7th is exactly what's happening right now. The end, annihilation, complete non-existence of Hamas. That is an appropriate response to an organization that ruled over 2 million people, was given literally billions and billions and billions of dollars of international aid, which Israel stupidly allowed hundreds of millions of Qatari money to come in to help the poor Palestinian people. What did they do with it? They built terror tunnels and they came and murdered us. The only appropriate response to that is the end of Hamas, just like the only appropriate response to the Nazis is the end of Nazi Germany. And the only appropriate response to ISIS is the end of ISIS. So to all due respect to Pierce, you're asking the wrong question. There is no proportionate response to what happened. There's only an appropriate response. And the appropriate response of the Israeli government is its obligation, not its right, its obligation to protect and defend its citizens like me and my family from murderous terrorists coming in and slaughtering us. And the only way to stop that is to completely eliminate it. Everyone that's a participant in Hamas on any level needs to be eliminated. Otherwise, it's just a matter of time before this happens again.
There's no question. I do not subscribe to the view it's genocide. Well,
that is the understatement of the century.
Possibly, but I think they have a right to defend themselves against a terror group.
You see, it's not a right, it's an obligation. Nobody needs to give us the right to defend ourselves. If you want to acknowledge we have an obligation to defend ourselves. We have to.
Who have gone on record in the last 2 weeks as saying they want to do what happened on October the 7th again and again.
Children of Gaza.
I understand.
You see, when they tell us that they want to kill us again and again, we need to start believing them. We Israelis, were living in fantasy world. We really believed that Hamas wanted to build a life. We believed that they changed. They didn't change. And not only did they not change before, they haven't changed since. And they're not going to change. If they tell us again and again that they're going to kill us and they want to do October 7th again and again and again, we have to believe them.
It's horrific. It's horrific.
It's beyond horrific.
Well, it's horrific,
because
right?
literally what we are watching on our phones, on our laptops, on our TVs is an extension of what's been happening since 1940.
But let me play you your reaction.
You see, the doctor here just explained it. Since before 1948, by the way, there were murderous pogroms, murdering Jews in the land of Israel, way before the state of Israel existed. Yes, the Jews here were murdered by Muslim Arabs before there was even an Arab-Palestinian identity, before there was even a state of Israel, before there was the Six-Day War, before 1967. Just look up the 1929 Palestinian riots. Here, let's do it together. 1929, there it is, Palestine riots. 1929, let's look up more. Type in Arab riots. Here we go. Oh, look at that. I didn't even know about that. 1920, 1936 to 1939, Arab revolt. No state of Israel. Let's just type it in. I mean, everybody knows. When was, there it is, the state of Israel founded? 1948. So why is there an Arab riot in 1936? In 1920, when the state of Israel didn't exist? You tell me, my sweetest friends. Why?
All right, I understand. Let me play you, after October the 7th, a few days later,
I like the hand.
You took part in a talk on YouTube and you said this.
Brave Mujahideen, they gave the enemy a punch on the nose.
Ooh.
All right? And it's a very welcome punch on the nose.
Oh, indeed.
How can you categorize a terror attack in which 1,200 mostly innocent civilian people were brutally attacked, raped, tortured, beheaded, and murdered? How can you, a British NHS doctor or NHS doctor in Britain, how can you say that's a welcome punch on the nose?
Will you let me answer fully?
Yes.
I will be frank.
I want to see him actually answer. Can you answer? Can you answer? Let's see.
As concise as I can be, but if you give me the courtesy of letting me answer fully.
Okay.
Let's see if you answer.
I will defend the right of the Palestinians to resist an occupation. When you look at that...
That's not resistance, that's terrorism.
When you look at what happened and the 7th of October, as if that is the day that everything started.
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that, but when people look at that...
Do you think what happened that day was a terrorist attack?
when people look,
do you? Do you?
know the word
It's a
terrorism.
question. It's a yes or no question. Do you think it's a terrorist attack? Yes or no. Say yes or no. Stop justifying. If you think it's yes, you can explain why. And if you think it's no, you can explain why. But you have to say yes or no.
Has become so politicized.
Actually, not really. The law doesn't.
The word
You can be
terrorism,
deeply sympathetic
the
to the
word-
plight of Palestinian civilians, which I am, by the way.
Oh,
and I've expressed
terrorism has become politicized. The word terrorism has become politicized. What kind of crazy world do we live in?
many times.
the word
What you
terror-
can't do is be weaselly mouthed about what happened on October the 7th.
I asked you to let
That
me
was
finish.
a grotesque
I will
terror
ask
attack.
you to finish.
Yeah, but you're equivocating about it being a terror attack.
I'm not equivocating, and I will explain why. Okay, the word terrorism, by the way, in India last month.
Oh, give me a break. The word terrorism in India. Terrorism is the deliberate targeting of civilians in order to murder them and scare the crap out of people. That's what the Muslims want to do to us. They think that if they scare us enough by murdering enough of us, by maiming, injuring, raping, beheading, burning, doing all of that, we're going to just pack up and go to some imaginary place where they think that we're from. I have news for you. We have no place to go, and we're not leaving here ever, ever. To my dear Muslim brothers and sisters, I'm speaking to you in the holy city of Jerusalem as a Jew and an Israeli and a former member of a combat unit in the IDF and whatever other credentials you need to hear. And I'm telling you, we are never, ever leaving. So stop bothering to kill us because we're just going to come and kill you. If that's what you want, jump off a cliff. Go kill yourself. But stop bothering us. We just want to live our lives. And I have to answer something. This claim, you stole our land. This is the favorite Palestinian claim. You stole our land, get off our land. You stole our land, give it back. You know what? You squatted on our land. You took our land. And you never imagined that the Jews would actually survive 2,000 years of exile and come back home and kick your butts off of our land. That's right. We kicked you off of our land. And we paid you for it. Which is the most amazing thing. We didn't steal your land. We bought your land. That's right. Almost all of the land in the state of Israel was purchased by Jews from Arabs that squatted on our land. And even though it was rightfully ours, we paid for it. Why? Because sometimes Jews do stupid things, like allow Hamas to build terror tunnels and all these weapons and believe that they just want to live their lives. Okay, doctor, let's go back to entertainment.
We're not talking about India. Talk about what's
The
happened
word
here.
terrorism in India, people who supported the Australian cricket team have been arrested under terrorist offences. In the West Bank, people who are revealing, have been told, if you reveal what happened in the prisons, you will be arrested on terrorist
Do you
charges.
think what happened on October the 7th
No,
was a terror
because
attack?
it's a
Did you say no?
resistance. It's a
He did say no.
resistance.
Not a terror attack.
He did say no. He answered the question. He said no. Very good. At least he said no. At least he said something.
But Piers, if, and it's
You're
if.
an NHS GP.
If, I'm asking you to let me finish. If, right, our Islamic standard in conflict, in warfare, our prophet, peace be upon him,
Oh, I'm looking forward to hearing this. Our Islamic standard.
he said, you can't kill children, you can't kill women, you can't kill the elderly, you can't mutilate.
Hamas did all that.
If anybody did that,
If it's recorded by Hamas, by themselves, broadcast live, what more do you need? Someone who wants to deny the Holocaust, they look at these old black and white pictures and they say, don't really believe it. This is so modern. This was filmed on a GoPro head cam and broadcast live. And it's not enough for this doctor to believe it?
What do you mean if?
I say if because...
They literally broadcast it on their own streaming platforms.
Well, I'll tell you what a lot of us saw.
Hamas
I'll tell you what a lot of us saw. You see what he's doing there? What a lot of us saw. Because Muslims live in fantasy world. Now, I hope not all Muslims live in fantasy world, but apparently the ones that show up in the media do. Because if there's something that makes them feel uncomfortable, but they don't believe it, it just didn't happen. It's AI. It's fake. Someone else did it because we, peace-loving Muslims, we would never rape or murder or behead. Chas v'shalom. God forbid. We would never do such a thing. Although they did.
Cast it merrily to the world.
And
here's us doing these terrible things.
And
what do you mean if?
What many of us saw on that day were videos coming out showing people saying, we will not harm women, we will not harm children.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. If anyone showed you those videos, so you see, I'm going to tell you they were fake. And they're going to say, so your videos are fake. My videos are true. Your videos are fake. You say, my videos are fake? Well, your videos are fake. And then you say, well, it's my word against your word. What can I say?
Favor.
No, that's what...
Doctor.
I'm saying that. Resistance is a right in Islam. It's a right in international law.
International law. I want somebody to define for me international law. You know what? Let's take a look. What is international law? What is the understanding of international law? What happens to countries that violate international law? May be subject to diplomatic pressure, economic sanctions. Oh, of course, it's Israel. We violate resolutions. God bless the United Nations. We violate a lot of those resolutions. How many UN resolutions against Israel versus China? Oh, there we go. General Assembly resolutions: North Korea 1, Afghanistan 1, Israel 15. Wow. Hamas 0, Turkey 0, Russia 6.
It's even a right that Churchill said in his History of the English-Speaking Peoples. That
Churchill.
He actually wrote in that book, it is a primary right of men to kill and die for the land they live in.
You literally read me a description of what people who follow Islam are not supposed to do.
Yeah.
And Hamas did all of those things. But your response is to say, well, hang on, I've seen videos of them saying, we don't want to do that stuff.
No.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So if they say that they didn't do it, obviously they didn't do it. And if they say that 21,000 people have died, magically 21,000 people have died. And most of them are children and they've been beheaded and who knows what else.
I find that pretty offensive, Doctor.
We
all know they did it because they boasted to suspended with their own videos what they were doing.
I find it amazing that respected journalists like yourself have seemed to have suspended their critical faculties.
No, I'm believing what Hamas wanted me to see.
Well, you're believing what you saw.
No, what Hamas themselves...
Basically, who's not willing to look at reality here? Pierce or the doctor?
Broadcast to the world because they wanted to take great glee in what they've done. There's no ambiguity about it.
I asked you to let me finish, and I'm going to...
You've got to answer questions.
I will answer the question. If atrocities were committed, right, I will never condone them, right? I will say that.
So do you condemn what happened on October the 7th?
If atrocities are committed, you know who's responsible?
What do you mean if? No, they were.
Who's responsible for it then?
So you don't condemn it?
Because he believes that Israel is responsible. He believes that Israel killed its own people. I'm sure that he has some reason for it, but God forbid, Hamas would never kill or rape or murder or gas or behead or burn any innocent person. God forbid, never. Because we Muslim people, we have our standards.
Okay, who is responsible?
Well, the Jews brought it on themselves.
No, actually, I would say more than that. I would say the powers that believe that Israel should be a colony for themselves in the Middle East, they are the ones responsible.
Do you know what? I'm really struggling.
Israel is a colony. So Israel is a colony of the US. Israel is a colony of the UK. Israel is a colony, right? The Jews have no history. We have no right to our own home. We're simply colonizers. And 60% of the Jews, if not more, that live here in Israel are from originally Muslim countries. That's right. You Muslims kicked the Jews out of your countries, and they had no place to go. So they came here. Had they stayed in northern Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, had they stayed in Baghdad, in Iran, in Turkey, those Jews would probably be dead now. But we Jews opened up our homes, and opened up our country, and took them all in. And we didn't have any resources for it. But eventually, people were given homes, and people found work, and people had children, and they had grandchildren. And we now have a country filled with Jews that were kicked out of Muslim countries. But here you have people in Gaza. You have 2 million people in Gaza, and you're not willing to take them in? Let's do a little look. I'm curious. How many Arab countries are there? 22. 22 countries. 22. How many? Not all Muslims are Arabs. So how many Muslim countries are there? 49. 49 Muslim countries. Around 1.8 billion Muslims. And you don't have room for 2 million people that need to be taken in because they believed in a sick ideology of murdering Jews? How? You know what? Let's take a look. How big is the state of Israel compared to other countries in the Middle East? But you can see, look at all of these Arab countries, Muslim, Arab, and look at Israel. Just amazing. Okay, let's continue with the doctor.
I'll be honest with you, I'm really struggling. Do you know that a British National Health Service doctor of 25 years is incapable of saying what happened when it was literally broadcast to the world by a terror group? Nor do you think they're terrorists. You think it's resistance. You seem to want to go every way to justify it. You don't even believe what they showed us with their own technology. And I'm just curious. Do you think any of this is compatible with you being a doctor in the National Health Service?
You don't have to be a doctor.
Do your patients know that you believe these things?
You don't have to be a doctor to care for the lives of 2 million people in Gaza. You don't have to be a doctor.
I'm concerned about whether your patients...
You know, it's true. You don't need to be a Muslim to care about the lives of 2 million people in Gaza. Why aren't all these people that support the Palestinians begging their governments to take them in? You know, it reminds me of a story. There was a fisherman, he caught a big fish. He said, the king loves fish. Now the fish says to himself, hey, the king loves fish. The fisherman brings it to the cook. And the cook says, the king loves fish. He's cooking the fish, and the fish says to himself, Baruch Hashem, thank God, the king loves fish. They take the fish on a beautiful platter to the king, and the king says, I love fish. He takes a big fork, starts eating the fish, and as the fish is being eaten, the fish says to himself, you don't love fish, you love yourself. That's what people like this doctor sound like to me, and all of these people who care about people in Gaza. So do something about it. Okay, we're not going to stop getting rid of the terrorists that murdered us and prevent our own deaths. We're not stopping. So don't have any fantasies about us stopping. But if you really care about the people in Gaza, take them in. So care and do something about it. Take them into your countries. Demand that Egypt open the border and allow them out, and then take them into your own home and host them and give them a life.
here in this country where Hamas are a prescribed terrorist organization.
And I've said,
with listening to this
I've
interview,
said to you,
do these patients know your
I have
views?
said unusual.
In May 2023, a
Piers,
prominent.
no, I have to. No,
I'm going to ask you another
you
question.
did not give me the courtesy.
You know
of letting
why?
me
Because
finish.
your answers were so outrageous.
You censor. That's your answer.
No.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
censor. The person doing the censoring is you.
No,
with
you
respect,
are censoring.
Who wants me to try and understand and believe that what Hamas showed us, boasted about with their own technology, broadcasting it to the world, was not what we saw. That's called censorship.
Well,
It's a good point. It's not even censorship. It's just denying reality.
That is actually the purest personification
I tell you
of
what,
censoring the truth I've ever encountered.
When you bring Mark Regev onto the show, and you question him, lightweight questioning, albeit lightweight.
I love how they think it's lightweight questions. You know why it's lightweight questions? Because they ask him questions and he answers the truth. But when Pierce asks you a question and you have to lie, that's a difficult thing to do. It's stressful. It's not a lightweight question. That's the difference. You guys are lying all the time. So it's hard for you to answer.
Questioning about the atrocities that have happened.
Well, you think it's lightweight. I actually ask difficult questions.
Actually, you don't ask difficult questions. Yeah, you completely accept. You listen, sit there and listen to the most ridiculous explanations.
Unlike you and your answers, you mean?
Well, you don't give me the chance to say.
No, I've heard your answers.
No, you didn't.
I have.
You didn't.
I have.
You didn't.
You don't. Well, let's do a little quick fire.
You're telling the answer.
Let's do a little quick fire recap. Do you think Hamas are a terror group?
I believe it's a resistance organization.
Okay. Do you think what they did on October the 7th was a terror?
So the answer is no, not a terrorist group, resistance organization. Fine, let's accept that he says it's a resistance organization. Okay? They resisted, and now they're getting the wrath of the Israeli army. You want to be a resistance organization? Resist and pay the price. Jewish blood is no longer cheap. People used to murder Jews and never had to pay for it. Now you want to murder Jews? You better get out your checkbook because you're going to pay for it.
Terror attack.
I believe that if civilians got killed on that day, it is appalling.
If he doesn't believe it, because it's too hard to deal with reality. He can't believe it because Muslims would never murder children. Never murder women. They would never rape. God forbid.
You're a doctor, man.
It's appolling.
You're a doctor in the
also
NHS.
Believe,
what do you mean if? 1,200 people got massacred.
And 1% of the population.
I can share your concerns about what's happened.
You know you don't.
Oh, no, I do.
No, you don't.
No, I do.
16 years. 16
I cannot
years
believe a doctor
camp.
is saying the word
16.
if people got victims of atrocity. If, on October the 7th. How can you say that?
Yeah,
so what? You tell me this. What is a proportionate response to 16 years of living in a cage? No. What is a
proportionate response to 16 years of living in a cage? In a cage? What more do you want? How much more money and help do the Palestinians of Gaza need? You tell me. You were given everything. You know what? Let's take a look. When and where was the Yasser Arafat Airport built? Did you know there was a Yasser Arafat Airport? Watch this. There it is, opened in 1998. Closed in 2001. You know why it was closed? Because they were using it to bring in missiles. There it is, by the way. The Yasser Arafat Airport. Now in ruins, it was a symbol of Palestinian freedom. So what are you talking about? Concentration camp. And what are you talking about? What did he say before?
You don't.
Oh, no, I do.
No, you don't.
No, I do.
16 years. 16
I cannot
years
believe a doctor is saying
16 years living in a prison camp. We built a port. We built an airport for you Palestinian people to build your lives and focus on peace so that we could live our lives in peace. We were willing to do that for you. Forget about not showing us respect. You never intended to build your lives. All you wanted to do was come and murder us.
Saying the word 16. If people got victims of atrocity. If If on October the 7th. How can you say that?
So what, you tell me this, what is a proportionate response to 16 years
No,
of
let's
living in a
focus-
cage?
No.
What is a proportionate
Not
response?
a terror attack.
What is it
Not
then?
a terror
So-
attack.
You know what a proportionate response is? Building your lives. Forget about killing us. You're never going to succeed. What you did shocked us. We were stupid. We were stupid. We Jews in Israel were stupid. We're no longer stupid. And we're not going to take this anymore. It's not going to happen again. You don't want to build your lives. We're not going to let you murder us. So either go someplace else and figure it out, or die. I don't know what else other options there are.
If they just attacked IDF,
Yeah, I've
if
asked
they
many
just-
times,
if they
what
just-
is proportionate,
So do you
right?
accept that? So you're saying just to attack the IDF would have been acceptable?
I personally do not believe...
Answer that.
I'm
Is
answering
just
this.
to
Let me
attack
answer
the
your
IDF
question.
acceptable?
I'm going to say this.
We might be able to agree.
I
We
think
might be able to agree.
I think the strategy
No.
at the moment...
Can we answer
Let
that?
me answer the
If
question.
they had agreed-
Let me answer the question. Let me answer the
yes
question.
or no?
The-
If they had
the
just
answer-
attacked military targets,
My
was
view,
acceptable.
my view of what they're doing is I don't think it's going to work. I don't think the IDF is going to eradicate...
Now, Pierce has said this a few times. He doesn't think it's going to work. This is something that people simply don't understand about the situation here. We have no choice. If it doesn't work, we're not going to be here. Period. And I pray that our leaders understand that, because Bibi has been very weak in the past. He ended wars early. We don't have a choice. This is Ad Nitzachon. Until victory. There's no other choice. And not just in Gaza. Also in Lebanon. And not just in Lebanon. Also in all of Yehuda and Shomron, all of the West Bank. And everywhere that needs to be done. And I wish Iran as well. I wish we had attacked Iran a long time ago. But nobody's asking me.
Hamas, and if that is the mission statement,
agree on
and in
that.
the process,
We could agree
they
on that.
kill tens of thousands of
We could agree on
innocent
that.
men, women, and children. If they do that, I think they will radicalize an entire new generation and make it worse. That's
This is amazing. I've heard this claim before as well. You don't need a war to radicalize a whole new generation, because these kids were raised being taught that I'm living in their home and that they have to come and take my home from me. You don't need a war for that. They have raised entire generations, multiple generations, believing that the Jews are the Crusaders and they are Salah ad-Din, and they're going to come and conquer the Holy Land from the Crusaders and kick us out. So, Pierce, you're wrong about that. You don't need a war. They did it very well without a war.
my honest view of what I'm now witnessing. But let me come back to
that's why.
Hang on.
That's why when we talk about a military intervention,
Fine, it's
actually
what happened.
what we want.
But Doctor, what happened on October 7th wasn't a military intervention.
No. What
it was
we
a
want,
terror attack.
What we want as a military
and you don't even think it
intervention-
happened, do you?
What we want is a military intervention from Muslim armies to rescue a beleaguered people and
You don't need military intervention to rescue people. Open the border to Egypt and rescue your people. Because what you're saying is you want all of the Muslim militaries in the world to come and attack Israel. Not going to happen. First of all, they don't care about the Palestinians enough to attack. It's hard to accept. Nobody in the Arab world wants the Palestinians.
replace an apartheid
Palestinian
system.
people have to be given the same human rights.
you do me the
as-
respect?
They have to be
Not
given.
cemented.
No, I will
No.
interrupt you. It's not your show. You don't just talk forever.
Well,
right?
what's the point of asking?
I'm going
on
to tell you what I
and
think
even
about the
saying to
Palestinian
me-
plight, which I've talked about many times. You've obviously missed it. I think they should be given the same human rights as everybody
You
else.
think that
and
The Palestinians were given the same human rights as everyone else, and they took those human rights and used them to murder Jews. Now they don't have the right. The right's been taken away. The right has been forfeited. When you use water pipes for bombs, you don't get water pipes anymore.
particularly
75
the
years
same
they've been
rights of the
occupied.
Israelis. I think it's been a
You think-
75-year conflict with...
conflict.
Yes, a conflict. Yes, a
where,
conflict.
where people have been driven out
Yes,
of
a
their homes.
conflict.
750,000
Yes,
people in
it's
the Nakba.
wrong. That was wrong.
You forget about the 850,000 Jews that were kicked out of Muslim countries. It was a population exchange. What are you going to do? And we still have the descendants of 2 million people from 1948 that are Arab citizens of the state of Israel. full citizens with full rights. Everywhere you go here in Jerusalem, you'll see them. Lawyers, doctors, pharmacists, Supreme Court justices, you name it, they're everywhere. They all have work. They all are full participants, and they're treated with respect. If they had just stayed, it would have been really bad for us, honestly, but it would have been good for them. But they really believed in 1948 when the Arab army said, we're going to kill all the Jews, don't worry. Leave your homes, you'll be safe, and then you'll come back. They really believed it, and you know what? They were wrong.
Encroaching on the West Bank more and more and more.
That was wrong. No. So have been all the wars launched against Israel. That's been wrong. All of it is wrong. Right? The history shows this is a conflict riddled with wrongs on both sides.
On the 7th of October.
No, it didn't. I never said it did.
Well, you seem to.
No, you don't even think it happened on October the 7th.
The framing of your debate.
You don't even think it happened.
I do think it happened.
Oh, you did happen. It did happen. 1,200 people were massacred.
Now it happened. No, that didn't happen. Let's see what he says.
I think 1,200 people were killed.
Were they massacred?
Yeah, they were killed.
Right,
they were killed by the Israeli army.
Terrorists.
They were killed by people who were resisting an occupation.
Bullshit.
And
they're terrorists.
Yeah, well, that's...
So he did say that they were killed by Hamas. I'm impressed. Okay. But he didn't say it was terrorism. Do you understand who these people on the southern border were and are? When we withdrew from Gaza in 2005, I got to bring this up. Disengagement. Really an expulsion. Okay? Take a look at these pictures here. Let's look at this over here. Okay? Yes, I'm happy. This is Jews expelling Jews from their homes in Gaza. Let's look at another picture. These are some of the classic pictures. There you go. There you go. Okay. Here you see the army taking the Jews out of Gaza.
That's your view.
It is my view.
Yeah.
It did happen. 1,200 people were massacred.
I think 1,200 people were killed.
Were they massacred?
Yeah, they were killed.
Right, by terrorists.
They were killed by people who were resisting an occupation.
Bullshit.
And
this is called resisting an occupation. There is no occupation. The Jews left, had no claims. The people living in the South were the most left-wing, liberal, progressive Jews pretty much in this whole country. And when we pulled out of Gaza, we withdrew to the internationally recognized border. There were no disputes over the Gaza area. But for people that believe that the Jews have no right to their own homeland and their own country, and believe that the Jews stole their land, even though they were squatters that were kicked off and bought off of our land, so you believe that it's resistance. What am I supposed to say?
They're terrorists.
Yeah, well, that's your view.
It is my view.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's the view of any person who is not Israeli or Palestinian, right? Anyone can look at it and go...
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. One man, have you not heard the adage, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter? Have you never heard that?
Bullshit.
Have you never heard that?
Let me just... He's a prominent member of your organisation, called for an end to the secular order so that, quotes, the UK will no longer be able to pump its liberal filth, its LGBT filth, its feminist filth into the heart of the Muslim world. Do you agree with him?
I agree. What we want to see in the Muslim world is a system with an accountable government, right? An elected leader, upholding family values, right? We want to see an economic system where wealth is circulated.
Do you believe in equal rights for gay people?
I believe that actually the Islamic standard of law should be the standard of law in the country. Obviously, that's the standard I believe in.
And I believe, just to clarify,
So what he's saying is, I believe that the whole world should be ruled by Islam. Yes, you and the United Kingdom should be ruled by Islam, because of course that's what Islam means. Submission.
Use words.
You want full Sharia law for this country?
For this country. I'm working for, our group works for Islam, the restoration of Islam in the Muslim world.
Yeah, the answer is yes. He wants it for the United Kingdom. Watch, it's going to come.
But here,
We work to uphold Islamic values in our personal life and in the Muslim community.
He's scared to answer. He's scared to answer
what
that.
about, do you want
we
Sharia
actually
law
try-
here or not?
I would love, you know what?
You'd love it?
No, I tell you what. In this last
we
2
go.
months, one of the strangest things has been where people here have going and looking and reading the Quran, and they've been looking at it. And I'd invite you and your audience
to
to do that.
Right. You know, I studied for a PhD in Islamic studies. We didn't have any courses in the Quran here at the Hebrew University or at Princeton, if I remember. I can't remember. I remember asking one of my professors, why don't we study the Quran? Because, of course, as a Jew, we study the Torah, we study the Talmud, we study Hasidus, we study all kinds of Jewish texts all the time. So you would think if you're going to get a PhD in Islamic studies, you have to study the Quran. He suggested a book. I read several books. I read the Quran several times. And he said, read it just before you fall asleep. It'll help you fall asleep.
That.
Just to clarify.
I would do that. And
Just
they,
clarify,
and
you would
they
like
are
Sharia
not-
law here?
And they are not convinced by these
doctor.
neocon
Would you like Sharia
Islamophobic
law here?
tropes
Doctor, would you like Sharia law here? Yes or no?
and caricatures of Islam, are they?
Actually, I don't think...
people who,
All I've done is ask you straightforward questions.
yeah.
You've revealed your beliefs in the answers. Yeah, you have. You may not even realise what you've done, but you have.
I believe in Islamic law, and I don't believe in the caricature that you try and present of Islam.
Would you like Sharia law in this country?
I would love to see you want Sharia law in this country.
Oh, there you go. The answer is yes. I would love for you to want it. Pierce, we would love for you to want it.
I don't want Sharia law in this country.
Well, that's your
Why
wish.
not?
But you would.
Yeah, but I
Would you?
I believe it's the best system, but
So
I'm
you-
not working.
You just can't say yes. He's saying yes
I'm
again
not
and
working.
again.
Would you
to
like it
establish-
in this country?
I'm not working.
Yes or
to
no?
say- I believe in Islamic.
Yes or no?
You know the Islamic
Yes
civilization.
or no?
Yes
was
or
the
no?
Only
You'd be
civilization.
very quick to answer everything else. Yes or no?
The Islamic civilization was
Yeah, because he knows if he answers it, he's screwed.
the only civilization that brought peace to the Middle East for Muslims, Jews, and Christians.
All right. Sorry. Peace in the Middle East. You know how Islam brings peace to Jews and Christians? By putting a tax on them? By not allowing them to build their buildings higher than any mosque? By not allowing them to wear the color green? By making Jews wear special hats besides my kippah, which I choose to wear on my own? You know what? Let's take a look. What hats do Jews need to wear? In Islam. There it is. The dunce cap. That is the Jewish hat.
I would love to see that system there. Wouldn't you like to see a system?
Who pays
Wouldn't
your
you like
salary?
Wouldn't you like to see a
Who
system
pays your salary?
where Muslims, Jews, and Christians would live
I don't
side
want
by
this
side
country to
in the
live
Middle
under
East?
Sharia law.
It's not talking about this. I'm talking about the Middle East.
No, but you suggested you wanted it to be under Sharia law here.
You suggest.
Do you or not?
You
Well, do you or not? What's funny?
What's funny is your approach of question.
Why?
Honestly.
Just answer the question.
Because you know why it's funny.
Yes
about
or no?
it.
You
I-
either do or you don't, right? I ask a question, the answer is yes or no. Why can't you say yes or no?
I believe in the Islamic system.
Would you like
Will be
Sharia
the
law in this
only-
country?
I would love.
Yes or no?
I would love to see you want.
No, answer the question. Never mind what I want. What do you want?
I want to see the Islamic system re-established.
Would you like
in the Muslim
Sharia
world.
law in this country? Last time I'm going to
Well,
ask
if
you.
Sharia law,
Just yes or no.
if Sharia law means upholding family values, means looking after the poor,
Means no gays,
looking
no
after the
feminists,
poor.
i.e. women who get above
That's
themselves,
your
right?
caricature. No, that's your
Oh, I know what Sharia law wants for women.
Why do so many women become Muslim these days? Why do
Because they
so
want to
many
be
women in the
oppressed.
West?
Is that what you're going to tell me?
No. Why do so many?
Because they want to be oppressed.
Women in the world become Muslim these days.
You tell me.
No idea.
Well, you better ask them.
Well, why don't you tell me what you think?
Well, they seem to find it something that attracts them, Islam.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Many women in the West become Muslim. And for some reason,
crazy.
they seem to like the fact that
Do you
Islam...
work with women doctors?
Yes, I do. And
How do they feel about your views on this?
I keep a very strict professional line between my...
Do they know
my
what your views are?
politics.
When they watch this, they're going
Some
to
of
be
them-
surprised.
Some of them will know, some of them
Yes,
will
they
not
will.
know. Some of them will know, some of them will not know.
Okay.
All right.
Doctor, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Islamic terrorist
You've been enlightening with
doctor.
your responses. You may not realize quite how enlightening.
You were
but
very entertaining.
You might find out.
Thank you,
when
doctor.
You see the reaction. But
We
I
all
appreciate
enjoyed
coming in.
watching
Thank
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That was great, doctor. Thank you so much. So I hope you enjoyed that, my sweetest friends. I figured I'd just share some comments with you, give you a little different perspective on these interviews, and I'll probably do some more. So thanks for watching.